Police Chief Paul Humphrey was among several Kentucky police chiefs speaking to lawmakers in Frankfort Wednesday about community policing and crime. And Chief Humphrey joins us live here in studio today to talk about that meeting and issues going on in the city. So, Chief, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. You said it was a good talk yesterday in Frankfort. You felt like you were being heard. What was the message you wanted to get out? I know you talked about a lot of easy access to guns out there and the need to get the juvenile detention facility built fast.
Right, and it was a good conversation. They were asking what we need from the state legislature, and part of what I asked them is figure out what your police department actually does. Go do a ride along with your police department so you can see what an officer goes through on a day-to-day basis, the problems that they encounter and have to deal with and how well they deal with them, and what are those gaps that we're still missing. So here, obviously, we deal with not having a juvenile detention facility. It is not fair to the kids that we lock up that they are shipped hours away. They're away from access to their legal representation. They are away from their family, and then they have to take a multi-hour car ride to go to court.
Right.
And it makes it difficult for us to take the kids off the street that we actually should and be able to get them off the street. So that is it's a safety issue for the community, as well as it's a fairness issue for these juveniles that do get locked up.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about this week. There were several groups that got together from the community asking for more accountability with police when it comes to folks who are in crisis. Right. Obviously, we recently had a naked, unarmed man that was shot and killed by a police officer. You guys have said, you know, we fired the officer, he's being prosecuted, so we can't say a whole lot about that. But tell us about the mental health aspect of calls like this. Is there a disconnect between the 911 operators, first of all, and police getting that message? Because I know in the 911 calls you guys put out that the girlfriend of that young man said that he was bipolar. So did that message get through? How do you get enough officers or other folks that are competent to handle those calls? Right.
What I'll say is one, do not judge our response by that officer's response in that situation. That is why he was terminated.
Right.
It's because that response was so much of an outlier from the norm of what every single officer does on a day-to-day basis. When you talk about the deflection program, there were over 5,000 calls that were deflected to mental health workers that work for 7 counties that never came to LMPD. And then you put that in this perspective of those runs that did not qualify means they were already elevated to a level of danger that we felt it was not safe to send someone else. So officers, police officers, LMPD officers responded to over 3,000 of those runs last year. And force was used very, very rarely in those cases. You're talking about 2.5% of those cases had force used. And only 8 of those encounters in 2025 resulted in any injuries. And some of those were to the officer. So our officers do a great job of dealing with these. That being said, we also know that there is no end to better. You always have to strive to get better. And that's part of what we're doing. We're working with 7 counties. We're working with other parts of metro government, the director of behavioral health for the city out of the mayor's office. And we are looking at ways to make sure that even though we are doing a great job, we still need to continue to improve that, because anytime there's a negative outcome like that, it outweighs many of those great outcomes where we were able to get people help without anybody getting hurt.
Absolutely. And just real quickly, we're running out of time, but the summer task force, you got a lot of arrests and citations last week on Bardstown Road. You feel like it's working, that program going well?
I do. I think there's been a lot of things put in place by the city and the mayor's office, having ABC out there. They put lights out there in some of the problem areas, having those additional officers out there as presence. And it's been outstanding. They've seized multiple guns, written tons of citations, and made arrests. And I think it's making an impact, and we're going to keep it up.
All right. Chief, thanks for being here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.